my friends and extended family. Um, I was just reading a letter from one of my longtime viewers, and they were talking about their life and some chaoticness that goes with it. And I think that is the adoptee's journey, is through chaos. Um, I don't know many adoptees that haven't struggled um, with all sorts of issues and been down some extreme paths and things like this. And I don't know exactly what it is that triggers us, that sends us off on our tangents. Um, I know for myself, it's quite often this building up of, how much can you take? How much can you take? Until eventually a day comes where my impulsivity takes over and I just throw everything out the window, baby with the bathwater, etc., and just take off or, um, you know, snap and do something, life changing. And subconsciously, I think we do it on purpose to some degree. This destructive state. And I know for myself, anyways, there's been times when everything is kind of going smoothly. Say the job, the girlfriend, the relationships, everything is kind of set in place. And if I look off into the future and into the distance, I could see that this could go on for 20, 30 years. And that scares the heck out of me because I think what it is that I look in that 20, 30 year zone and I think to myself, well, what if this isn't me? What if this isn't what I was supposed to be doing? And I think underneath it all, we have this sense that we've been misdirected from our life path and from our life goals and where we're supposed to be in life. And I think that subconsciously we're trying to find our way back to this place that is gone. It can never be again. It's very much like Superman's story, his planet Krypton blowing up, because that's what happened. Our world blew up, and it doesn't exist anymore. And on the shallowest, most basic level, sure, that the birth parents are still there somewhere, but I think part of being a person is having those childhood memories, those developmental memories that went in bonding with your family and being with your family. And as an adoptee, especially since our parents for the most part, were still alive, um, that portion is removed, and it can never go back. And due to that, it's destroyed. I mean, it's gone. And yeah, there's no retrieving it. And I think that explains also what happened when I first met my birth father, in that there was a sense of wanting to give back the better life, to start over, and to be reparented. It was a feeling more than anything else. It wasn't logically thought out or anything, but it was that I wanted what was taken, and what was taken was my childhood. And the only way to get that back was to become a child again. And I experienced some of that sensation and that helplessness, that wanting to be guided um, back to me in a way. I know that doesn't really explain it fully, but that's the best I can do to try and put that into words. And maybe I can do better. Maybe I can try and contemplate that more and see if I can explain it better. But let me know in the comments if that's me, if other people have sort of had that sensation of wanting to return back to where things went wrong. And I think that's described in post-traumatic stress disorder, that you return to that point and try to reset yourself to when you were okay. And I guess for the adoptee, well, when were you okay? Um, and I think, a lot of us end up medicating ourselves back into a womb-like state. Myself being a blackout alcoholic for numerous years, or drinking alcoholically. Um, I drank alcoholically, and I believe that was self-medication versus alcoholism. I really struggled to try and differentiate between the adoptee self-medicating me and the alcoholic, because I've noticed when I go to AA meetings, I've noticed a difference between me and the current alcoholics. I can definitely relate back to the Bill Wilson days, Bill and Bob days, a little bit better than today, the alcoholics of today. But I don't. I also I think I've mentioned that part of my spiritual practice did include some hallucinogens, and being a bit of a psychonaut, and exploring the realms of our consciousness, and expanding on that. I don't want anyone to think that I feel that hallucinogens are a cure for addiction. I know that they're doing some work with that with ayahuasca down in Brazil. I know there's some studies being done on psilocybin, helping people with cigarette addictions and things like that. But there's no pill, there's no quick fix for your willpower problems and your addiction problems. Um, it takes work, and whether or not you believe in spirituality, it's a spiritual disease, and that is the way out of addiction, and finding some sort of compromise with your addictive uh, tendencies, or your addictive personality. So please don't mistake that I was well into sobriety, um, and well into my spiritual work, and had done a lot of the work before I'd come to a place where I felt sort of guided to grow my own medicinal mushrooms, and for the purpose of spiritual practice and communion. So, no, I don't see acid or mushrooms or ayahuasca as your quick fix to your addiction problems. It can be a quick fix to you being able to believe in something spiritual, because it can give you that quick shift in perspective. That being said, if you're going to do hallucinogens in a bad state of being, you might terrify the heck out of yourself and crap your pants, and see some of the demons maybe that you've surrounded yourself by in your life, and that might not be the best introduction to hallucinogens, and might send you off the deep end. So that's not what I'm recommending at all. It takes mental preparation. Otherwise, you're just partying. Like if you're taking mushrooms and whooping it up with your friends at the bonfire, and they're all getting drunk and partying, and you're just substituting. Well, that's not the point of the exercise. Now, as far as relationships go, I think it's important to address this in that I think the adoptee struggles maintaining relationships. Um, and I think it's important that we count our blessings in this area and try very hard to give people the benefit of the doubt quite often, and not to raise our expectations too high. Because as I've mentioned before, I think that the adoptee tends to lean towards a behavioral issues similar to borderline personality disorder. So you have that idealization where, oh, this person is the greatest, the best, and the next day, because of some incident or change in perspective, they're terrible, they're the worst, I don't want anything to do with them, you should stay away from them. So it's this back and forth situation. Um, because we're trying to trust, and we have different values, I guess, than others. So it becomes a little bit tricky. So the letter I read today was a bit disturbing, and it's I worry because I can see myself in other people's problems, and I know how easily I can get off track. So I guess the key of what I'm trying to say is that you know it's through education and work that I personally have come to a place, whereas although the world is still kicking the poop out of me, and it isn't easy, um, I'm okay. I'm okay. I make it through the day. I take joy in little things. I really enjoy my coffee, and I know caffeine is one of those things where eventually I kind of want to get rid of that too. And I don't try to say, any drugs are good. If you can go without them, fantastic. If you still need them for something, then take them. But at the same time, don't kid yourselves, and don't pretend that there's some drug or some toxin that you take that you need for the rest of your life. No, you don't. If you do the work and you continue on your path, slowly but surely, these toxins can be discarded as you go over time at your leisure. You're only playing against yourself. It's like golf. Really doesn't matter what the other people are doing, how they're scoring. It's all about you. So when you cheat at golf, you cheat yourself. When you cheat at the addictions game, you cheat yourself. It's if I sit here and pretend, like, I had that little blip there with the drinking, and I pretended it didn't happen and continued on. Oh, I'm heading towards 5 years sobriety, and that happens in the programs and this, that, and the other thing. They look at it as a bit of a game, and people cheat. People cheat at games, but this game is very much like golf in that if you cheat, you cheat yourself, and you're only going to affect your own results. And it's just going to make it easier to cheat in the future and harder to come clean with yourself and with whatever sort of group that you're trying to progress with. So my hopes is that all of you find within yourself a sort of repose. I don't even know if that's the right word, as sort of a serenity, a little bit of space for yourself within yourself, where you can go and feel at peace, at home, um, and connected to something else. That something else can be whatever you want or need it to be, and that something else can grow over time with you. In AA and things like that, they call it your higher power. Call it what you want, force, the force. I mean, whatever, God. Um, but the point being is, if you can develop that connection, that sense that you're not alone, then when you are in the world and the world becomes cold towards you and hostile, you can retreat into that place, and not necessarily have to feel alone and you know, beat down upon. In that, you know, this physical world isn't the be all and end all. There's other planes of existence for you, and you do have loved ones and other spirits and family that connect with you on higher planes of existence. So I think for me, that has been the ultimate realization that helps me to continue down the path, continue to move forward, and continue to do this sort of work. In that, you know, I'm coming to understand the situation better, and I've been able to remove myself a little bit so that I can look at it and not take everything so personally, and try to see some of the benefits and some of the strengths of being adopted. And again, and I think I've mentioned this in other videos, that's part of the positive of being adopted, in that you're not as connected on this plane to a family or other people, like the rest of you know, the average person. And that gives you an advantage in reconnecting with your spirituality that has been almost completely annihilated in the 21st century here through secular society and atheism and things like that. So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, we're at a very, the Western culture is at a spiritual low. Um, and that's an integral part of our existence. So coming back to that is hard after being away from it for a long time, because it hasn't been maintained. And spirituality has a tendency to get ugly if you don't maintain it. So, yeah, there is an advantage there. And it's through pain that we reach for that connection. And the adoptee has a lot of currency in emotional pain, and we can use that to reconnect with our higher senses and connections, and learn to be calm, um, because it is about big things. It's about very big things, but at the same token, you know, it's about the little things too, and our ability to enjoy those little things, um, and see the joys and blessings in them. So, hopefully that helps understand today. And there was another question about my parenting. I have two daughters. One is 23 and one is just turned 8. And I, I mean, I think I've gone over it a little bit, but um, here in Canada, the courts kind of got in the middle of the parenting before anything ever happened. What the first daughter was an accident, and you know, there was a lot of negative things that went along with the birth mother there, and I can get into that a little bit further. I don't like to get into other people's um, sicknesses and those sort of things, but I mean, that'll go into my own repeat. I mean, there was an exact repeat, right? I was a child born out of wedlock when my father was 19. I had a child born out of wedlock when I was 19. So the pattern continues down the family tree. And as scary as that may sound, my birth father's father ended up having a child out of wedlock when he was 19. And that child had ended up coming back to the family and getting in contact a year prior to me getting in contact with my birth family. So crazy patterns happening there, and things I could have known prior to having a child lock out of wedlock at 19, that there was that pattern to coming down the pipe at me. I should have been locked away for a year, I guess. But the second child was a planned pregnancy upon the woman's part. She was looking for someone to pay for the child that she wanted because she was lonely. Um, I guess that's just the natural evolution of, adoption. That at first it was because the woman was shamed. Now the woman is entitled to go ahead and do whatever she wants as far as her body is concerned. And procreation, the father isn't involved. It's none of his business. So a woman can, lie, cheat, connive, steal sperm to get what she wants and use the courts to enforce payment and that sort of thing. If she's working with an unwilling father, which a lot of them tend to be here in Canada now. I have experience with at least 2 women I know personally, besides this one, who have also gone ahead and tried to extort money from men via their children. Terrifying and scary. So, due to my undiagnosed behavioral problems, due to my chaotic life, due to my lack of moral education and a lot of other things, basically due to my flaws, and my addictions and all these things. I was not in any position to be a father. I was not in any position to be a person, really. Um, I've just been an actor pretending to be this, written name that they plunked me down on, and I've failed. I've failed at being that person. I tried, um, and I just flunked in every area of that. And when I finally gave up, I realized, well, there's still me. And who am I? Well, I'm someone completely different than that person I was trying to be, with a whole different set of beliefs and understandings that that person, um, I guess, wasn't really privy to. And me, the new me, was unwilling to play pretend to that life because that life didn't appeal to me at all. So I don't know if that made any sense. Um, and I was kind of working my way through it as I was saying it, but ultimately, I was a good uncle to my adoptive sister's kids. I like to think I was a good friend, that I was loyal, that my intent towards my friends was always of the best intent, and I really always wanted them to be happy. Um, yeah, I don't know. So, anyways, throughout my life, though, I mean, I've felt betrayed over and over and let down by friends and family. So, anyway, um, it's not easy. There is joys to be had. Reconnecting with nature is nice. I don't promote hallucinogens as a cure for addiction, um, without a healthy dose of work, spiritual work that goes along with that, and time and mental stability if you are going to venture down that road. I know I'm suggesting I had some mental stability at the time, which I think I did. I like to think that someone who realizes they're crazy has reached a certain level of mental stability that your average person never achieves. Um, so, anyways, big shout out to all the people that pop by here to say hello. I really care about you all. I've seen a few new subscribers. Thank you for joining our little discussion. Please feel free to leave all the comments you want. I will try to get to all of them. If I happen to miss your email or miss any of your questions or things like that, please let me know. I think that's about it today. I ran quite long, 25-minute video just about. But yeah, I'm here. So if anybody needs to talk, if you're having a bad time, I've been there. So hit me up. We'll get together and chat. And again, to the people I do chat with on a more regular basis, I mean, you're very important to me, and you I'm glad you come here to hear my struggles, and you appreciate my insights. So take care. Bye.